Well, hello, and welcome to this next webcast from HSS. My name's Brett Toresdahl. I'm a primary sports medicine physician at HSS in New York. I've been the head team physician for Rugby United New York for the past 2 seasons. I'm joined today by Mike Petri, a rugby legend himself.
Hey Doc, how's it going?
Doing well, thanks. Well, let me just tell those who are tuning in about you. Mike Petri, husband, father to 2 daughters, rugby scrum half, currently the vice captain of Rugby United New York, but he has quite the rugby history going back with USA Eagles, a few World Cups on his history, and then not to mention that he is also a high school science teacher, basketball coach, and children's book author. So knowing that I was going to talk to you today, I dug out this book here that you gave me last season for my daughter and son, and I was going through it and I thought I'd update it. So this is a book that Mike authored. It's an alphabet book about rugby, so it goes through, as you'd expect, A for anthem, B for ball, C for coronavirus. So I felt like that was a addition that we had to make into the book because this has been a different time for rugby, and wanted to just catch up with you. It's been a little while since we were seeing each other face to face. This season has definitely gone different than expected. So wanted to just first start by hearing what your thoughts are on rugby season 2019-2020. They got derailed midway through.
Oh man, Doc, I miss you. That's funny. No, I miss it a lot, right? It's like we had really just gotten started this season in 2020. We had about, I think 5 or 6 games that we played in the regular season this year. And really we're on our way back from a flight from San Diego when a lot of the COVID-19 virus news started to become much more prevalent, especially here at home in New York City. And I remember there was a lot of uncertainty those first few days. We were back in the city and not a lot of information coming out because, it was a novel thing for so many people. And I don't think anyone really understood what the best course of action was. But, luckily the people in charge of both our team and Major League Rugby made some really, really important decisions to help the safety and well-being of the players and the coaches and the fans, and understood that how important that was for our health and well-being and safety rather than, the continued league competition. So, it was like one day we're playing a game on a Sunday night on a red-eye flight back home, straight to work, getting ready for practice on a Tuesday. And, all of a sudden Wednesday, the message comes out and says, we're on a undetermined hiatus, from playing. So a little break. And, and even then we weren't sure if we'd be back this season or not. And then finally, like I said, they made the right call to end the 2020 season, which is bittersweet. It was a bit of a grind for the preseason. We had started in December, and the winters in New York are pretty harsh and not favorable for preseason rugby. But, we got into the swing of it with a couple of away games and some really nice places to go play rugby. And then, a 2-week break maybe would have been nice, just take a week or 2 off from the game and then get back into it. But it wasn't to be. Now we're all away from it, and the boys, we all really miss it. So it's we're all looking forward to hopefully this passing relatively quickly and being back out on the field next season.
Yeah, definitely a roller coaster, I'm sure, for emotions for your life, not only just in rugby but everything else. I'm sure you were getting emails and updates from your basketball team that you're coaching in school, not only in school you teach, but family in school. So in terms of how your life has just changed in the past few months, what's been the biggest adjustment for you? So obviously you're not driving out to practice or training to practice or going to school like normal, but what's it look like now in the what used to be kind of a grind, like you said, from early morning getting to school, coaching late night, doing rugby practice. What's it look like now for your life?
Yeah, I mean, the grind was tough at times, but there was a very certain structure to it, right? Like I always knew what time I had to work out, where I had to be. I knew that my kids were in school and they were safe and they were with their teachers. And, my wife had her clients. So, each of us were kind of independently doing our own things. And then we would reconvene in the evenings and in the mornings. And then all of a sudden that got thrown into flux. And now I'm trying to do live Zoom classes with my students, and my daughter is doing online school. She's in first grade. And then my youngest is, just looking for something to do every day because she's 3 years old and, she needs that mental stimulation. So my wife kind of took over as a homeschool teacher in that regard. But, it's been a challenge, right? And on many levels to make all of that work. And we're very lucky that we have a family dynamic that works for us right now, and the flexibility in our schedules to find the time for each other, which has been really invaluable to be around each other so much lately. But also to still take advantage of doing things that we love, like going for family walks to get some exercise and fresh air, and getting out for a run, getting some workouts in at home. It's been different, and that's been probably the toughest thing. But as I told my students, right, we talk a lot about adaptations and change in regards to like evolution in high school science.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that this generation of people right now are adapting on a whole new level than many generations have not seen previously. So I think it's really cool. And I think that it's going to pay dividends down the line for how we as a society are able to overcome future challenges. So, I've kind of embraced it in a way, but it certainly mentally had a bit of a toll so far.
I bet. Yeah, that's a good perspective to have. So knowing that you are interacting with elite professional athletes with Rugby United New York, youth athletes, and then young kids, who's adapting best to this change of rhythm, change of environment?
Oh, that's a tough question. Who's adapting best? I think it's probably on a case-by-case basis, and I think that oftentimes the people that are able to adapt the best are those who are in the right environments and surrounded by the right support network. Mm-hmm. And in times like this, you really start to appreciate how vital and important that is. As I mentioned, I'm home with my girls, I'm home with my wife, and we may not be able to see other people, but we have each other, and we're in a good place. And I think that the people that have been hit hardest are the people that maybe don't have that same luxury, or perhaps those that are essential workers and are having to stay away from their families and their loved ones, intentionally because they don't want to bring anything back home to the people that they care about. And I think that those people are having the hardest time adjusting. And I know that a few of my students have been faced with those challenges with parents or essential workers. I know that a couple of my teammates, we've been staying away from some of our family and the people that we love and care about. It's definitely been tough. So you really start to see how important those support networks are for your mental health and well-being.
Yeah. I would imagine for a lot of players and for you that some of that support network also comes from your teammates. So what's it look like now to interact with your teammates when it's not a daily rhythm of checking in with just through team communication or through practices, travel with them? What's it like to now be disconnected?
Yeah, it's tough, right? As I mentioned, we were, in the middle of the season, getting ready to, I practiced really on a Monday night. And then, we haven't seen each other since as a group collectively. And that's not the traditional way to end the season, right? Like you always know at the end of the season, there's some kind of culminating event of some kind, where, certain guys are not coming back next season and or going away for summer break or something for the off season. But it's definitely been strange. It's taken a different form of interaction. There's, some group chats where, guys will talk back and forth, but, generally it's been very quiet. I think that each guy on the team is kind of fighting his own battle right now and, may reach out every so often. But for the most part, it's been quiet. There've been a couple like Zoom meetings for trivia, and, Rooney's doing a great job. I mean, Coach McWilliams is doing guitar lessons online, Our PT sponsors, Motion, have been doing some great work with some live yoga sessions where guys can go and see each other and get some workouts in together and get some rehab work. So there are things where, we do get to virtually see one another, but it's definitely taken a very different form than, seeing each other and reconvening at Wagner College on a Monday, Thursday, Friday night, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, in the evening.
Yeah. I've been on those chats with a few of the Zoom meetings, and I love seeing that there's guitar lessons one night, and then I think there was coding lessons another night.
Yeah, that's right. There's coding. That's right. And there's like financial planning. They've done a really great job of keeping the guys engaged, and offering them some opportunities to take advantage of some free time that they might have now, to grow as people off the rugby field. I think that's really cool. I've been very appreciative of that personally. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It seems like a organization that's caring more about the people and not just the outcomes or the performance. That this is a brotherhood or a team that they're wanting to make sure you're growing as humans and not just as an athlete.
Correct, and that attracts good athletes too, right? Like the top athletes in the world want to be at a place where it's more of a family and it's more of a community rather than a results-driven environment. It's becoming more and more prominent in the business world. You're starting to see it now in the sporting world as well, and I think it makes a big difference. So it's been amazing to be a part of that for sure.
Yeah, Mike. Now that a lot of athletes don't have access to equipment, facilities to be able to use their strength and conditioning, what are some of the creative ways that you're finding your student athletes are dealing with this? Your teammates, how are you dealing with it? What sort of things are you having to do to stay in shape during a time where we don't have the typical equipment at our disposal?
So it's funny, right? Like one of the classes that I teach in high school actually is phys ed, and we've asked our phys ed students to send us workout journals, and we've given them some samples of things they can do that are like at-home workouts, things they can do, on the block, just in their homes. And it's been really cool to see some of the creative stuff that they come back with. Most of it's obviously body weight work. Some of them just are including carrying groceries into the house as part of their workout in their fitness journals. But it's the stuff we take for granted, right? Like as we're not as active even day to day, right? We're not walking up and down the stairs in the school. We're not walking back and forth from the gym to, the training pitch. It's all of those little things that add up in our overall fitness levels, right? And people are having to come up with some creative ideas. And luckily, like I said, the organization that we're with at Rooney, we have some yoga sessions together through Motion. Our strength conditioning staff has been exceptional in sending out a totally revamped program that includes all sorts of body weight exercises and fitness drills that we can do, just in front of our house. We don't even need a park. We don't need any type of public space. Stuff we could do at home with a chair, with a towel. Mm-hmm. Even some of it involves like things you can do, like air squats towards your sofa, right? Like, so it's really interesting how, again, we're adapting overall to a whole new challenge. And even, my wife's a personal trainer, so I see how now she's, having Zoom sessions with her clients and how, she's having to rethink how she kind of runs and operates in that regard, because she's now working with people where she usually may bring them equipment. She's having to improvise as well and adapt. And I think that it's really cool to see overall.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thinking ahead to when rugby will happen again, hopefully we're going to be seeing that at the 2020-21 season. What do you think is going to be the hardest thing to come back from in terms of physical preparations, mental preparations? Some of that just can't be maintained during a time like this. So what do you think is going to be the hardest to try to get back into your normal rhythm, that edge that you had?
Yeah, the most difficult thing, and even, I coach one of the men's premier teams here in New York City at the New York Athletic Club. And one of the things we've talked about as a staff is how difficult it's going to be for athletes to get back into the physical condition to prepare for contact sport. Mm-hmm. It's not something you can really replicate, especially if you're really isolated and quarantined at home with someone else that can't really, have any sort of physical interaction with you, right? Like you can't wrestle, your little kids and your wife, right? Like that's probably not the best situation, right? But it's those little things that, when we're at practice, we get the opportunity to like get up and down off the ground, and we're doing some rucking drills, and we've got prehab exercises for our shoulders, and so our bodies are constantly in a state to be ready for that type of shock and impact. And it takes a while to get prepared for that. And when you've had such a break from it, it's probably really good for your body to heal in that way and have some time away from it. But it takes a while to get back into it, right? It's like, it's no different than your overall conditioning. It's easy to lose your conditioning, and it's really tough to pick it back up once you've lost it. And the same is sort of true for your body's physical ability to enter into contact situations.
Yeah. And you mentioned too that this is a time where a lot of people can recover, their bodies can recover from injury, just that constant pounding when you're playing a contact sport like rugby. Have you personally felt any different now that you've had this extended break? When's the last time you had a break quite like this from that kind of contact?
Well, and actually, I had a really nice break. I kind of stopped playing rugby in 2015, and I had almost 2 years off, which was, my body felt great. But it's a different kind of great, right? Like, and even now, I don't wake up sore, the way that I did maybe a couple months back. But at the same time, I miss it, right? Like I really miss some of that sensation and feeling like, okay, I wake up and I know that my back hurts or my legs hurt, and there's a certain protocol that I have to follow to get myself back on the recovery track. And I work with people like yourself and people like our team in Motion just to get myself right, and it helps to have that structure. So it's kind of like I wake up and I feel good, and I'm like, well, now what do I do, right? But no, it's a different sort of feeling, and it's kind of nice to be away. Like I said, in the middle of a season, it might be nice to have a week or two off, but when you've got this prolonged break from contact, it's a challenge to kind of feel like, how am I going to get back into this? And you had asked earlier about, some activities that people might be doing, and some of the creative stuff I think, that people are doing is a lot of, especially when it pertains to rugby, is a lot of getting up off the ground, right? Like pancake sprints, instead of just like standing up and sprinting forward, it's lie on the ground, roll over, get up, sprint, doing bear crawls, stuff that puts you in these positions that are common places you'd find yourself on a rugby field and at rugby practice. And just as the average human, when you're just walking around, you don't do that. Like I remember my wife would joke about it sometimes, but I can't remember the last time I fell on the ground, right? And I'm sitting there like I pretty much get knocked down every night I go to practice. So it's just different.
Yeah, that's good. So thinking ahead to next season, hopefully when you're able to train in a group setting, play a contact sport without having to be social distant, what are some of these things that you can take forward from this time where we're doing a lot more interactions virtually, training virtually? I've seen some of your teammates through telehealth. What are some of these things that going forward you might look back and say, oh, that's a reflection or a result of this era of coronavirus?
So I think one thing that stands out is the notion that it's not all about everything that happens on the rugby field, right? Like it's not all about how much weight you can lift and how hard you can tackle and how fast you can run. There are so many extracurricular factors that play into being an athlete, not just a rugby player, right? There's film study that that you're doing. I mean, our coach right now is basically hosting sessions that you're learning how to coach, you're learning how to read the game, you're learning how to analyze and understand what happens on a rugby field. That kind of stuff is invaluable, right? And when you're in the heat of a season, you don't always get the time to focus and concentrate on that. People are spending a lot of time focusing on their mental health a bit. They're around people that they love. They're in their homes probably a little bit more than usual. And I think it's nice to kind of appreciate that you need a bit of a reset from rugby sometimes, right? You can't be full tilt 24/7 all the time, even in the heat of the season. for your mental and emotional health, that could be somewhat unhealthy too. So I think people are starting to appreciate and realize like the things you can do to prepare for rugby that are not necessarily directly rugby related. Whether it's the creative exercises you're coming up with to work on your strength conditioning stuff, that it's not all about pushing heavy weights around all the time, right? There's plenty of body weight work you can do that can put you in a good position to be successful, or film study, like we said, or just like totally, like we said, just stepping away from the game a little bit and having a little bit of a break from rugby and not being so, mentally stimulated all the time by rugby itself. So a lot of the off-field stuff is going to carry over, hopefully, and transition into the 2021 season.
Yeah, that's good. So think of in medicine and sports medicine about periodization, about how you're taking time where you're training heavy and taking time off. And it seems like what I've observed with rugby players especially is that a lot of this is just playing year round, that there's leagues and playing for a national team, you're playing from the MLR. Some of these these tournaments overlap, and the players don't get a lot of rest. And so I'll be curious to see if people realize what their bodies should feel like, what being really recovered will be like after a time like this, and if this will be something that they start to build into their own calendar in terms of their tournaments and the teams that they play for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't think that there's any rugby player that week to week goes into a game feeling 100%, every time. It's a difficult balance to manage when you're in season, especially between games every weekend and then getting the right training programs done during the week. And as we mentioned, it's a contact sport, right? So, the physical toll that it takes on your body, it's, a week seems like a long time, but it's definitely a challenge to get your body right each week. And some guys play so often that they never really get the chance to totally recharge. And I think a lot of people are starting to appreciate right now what that actually feels like. And I think the other thing, just thinking back to what we were talking about earlier, is people are starting to come up with plans and programs, and they're working with teams of non-rugby people right now that are helping them prepare for what's going to be happening on the rugby field, like physical therapists, like speed trainers and speed coaches virtually, S&C coaches. And I think that that's going to carry over into next season, and people are going to really start to highlight that and how the impact it's having on them as athletes. And hopefully that'll correlate to better performance on the field in the springtime when we actually get back out there to play. But that planning, that programming, that structure, having that schedule and that support of people, a team of people around to help you through that process is so important. And I think that's going to be a big thing as we go back into the season and guys start to learn what helps them feel like they are feeling now.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, we'll wrap things up here, Mike. Really appreciate you taking the time to chat today. I wish you well with all your different endeavors. Stay healthy, and I can't wait to see you back out on the field.
Thanks, Doc. I miss you. I can't wait to see you soon.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.